All right. Here we are, here we are, here we are, ready to go. All right, now, let's go back up here. All right, now, today, it is today, we're going to talk about the history. Oh, let me pull my other thing back up. Of the Murdaugh family, because it's really quite shocking. Oops, here we go. Let me pull my, I'm going to share my screen over here with this other thing. Not that one, it's this one. Whoops. Well, yeah, this one. We'll show you that one right there. Right now. Let me take that one off. I'll move that one and we'll share this other one because it's really kind of cool. I mean, they have a really long history. Their family is really, really old. So let's just share our screen with this one. Whoop, not that one. This one. All right, let me see if you can see that. Right there. Okay, I'm going to share a screen with that one right there. So that is the original Mr. Murdaugh. Okay. And let me pull this back up over here from my Bluetooth and we'll talk all about it. All right. He is quite an interesting fellow. There's a lot of things about this family that you probably do not know. I know you may or may not know, but I didn't know until I found all this information and started looking for it. So, here we go. Let me go over here and find this. I'm gonna find my damn word. Hang on a minute. Okay. I hope it shows up over here. Whoop, come on. Here we go. Let's go, word. There's my little documents. But this family has got, you would not believe how far back it goes and all the different things about this family. It's quite interesting. That people don't realize. I mean, they go back to the 1700s. That's how far back. I can trace them back to South Carolina. It's the 1700s. This is kind of interesting things. So let me pull this back up over here. I don't have to read it from my phone, I guess. And that's okay too. Whatever. Okay. Now, I pull my little document up. Then we'll start talking about it. Now, all right. Like this. Let me read this one. So, the Murdaugh family. Let me get my little glasses. I don't have them on, do I? Hello. Okay. Here we go. So the Murdaugh family name in South Carolina, it just goes back generations that established. Hey there. Sprinkle, you got it? Okay, the link is right here. This is right there. Can you see it? It's right here, girl. If you can click on this right here. There's the link. Here, let me show it. See, just copy it from right there. That's all you got to do. Because I'm not on my phone. Let me see if I can. Oh, if I sign on my phone, then it won't go over there like that. Hang on. Let me see if I can just type it in. We'll see. Hang on just a second. We'll do it like that. It's fine. It's fine. I hope you're feeling better. Feeling good. There we go. Okay. This is a little weird, I know, because I'm in the bedroom with this thing propped up on something else. Here we go. It is all right. Whoops. HTTPS dots. It goes like dots and then backslash. Whoops. I can't. Oh my God. Backslash. What does it say? StreamYard. Okay. StreamYard.com. Okay. And then the numbers are. This thing. Backslash. Oh, you're there already. See, you went faster than I could even do it. I was like, oh God, I can't see it. Oh, wait, oh my God, where'd you go? Damn it. Where are you? Did I lose you? I hope not. There you are. Okay, yeah, there you are. Can you hear okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ooh, it's really loud. Let me turn that down. Okay, this is great. I'm really liking how this works over here. Let me turn it down. It's really loud. All right. Good. That's better. That's better. All right. Now, I guess we could just start talking and see if we need to. Oh, let me get rid of that right quick. All right. There you go. So this man right here is. I wonder if I can make him bigger. Hang on. Let's see if I can make him bigger. I don't know. Maybe. No, he's not going to get any bigger. All right. Anyway, so this guy right here is the original Murdaugh dude. And he's this goes back to the 1793. Oh, I guess we'll just talk for a minute. How you doing? You feeling better? Did you get some rest?
Yeah, I dozed off about half an hour ago. My alarm went off, so I just got back up.
Oh, cool. Cool. All right.
Tired.
Sorry. Let me put my little spot over here. Okay. I was reading along here with just all this. Okay. So now these people actually go back to the 1700s, 1793, as far back as I went. But you know what? They owned slaves. Yes, ma'am. And they had a plantation. I found that to be shocking. But you know, they're from South Carolina. What'd you expect, right?
Right.
So, yeah. So anyway, I was reading this. It goes so they goes back to they established a legal dynasty that controlled the 14th Circuit Solicitor's Office for 87 years. So somebody in their family has been there for 87 years. That's way too long, right? So from 1920 to 2006, with 3 successive Randolph Murdaughs, Murdaughs, as the legacy deeply rooted into that low country justice system. I mean, they influenced the local law and they had all the power for over a century before recent crimes. So we talk about these key points and stuff. I even have pictures of some of their the slaves and some slave documents, and I was like, wow, that is really incredible. But you know, it goes back and talks about, oops. So we know that they controlled that 14th. Oh, come on, stop it. Ugh. Okay, I'm just not prepared is the problem. Okay, stop. No. Okay. So they controlled that for, 87 years, which is crazy. I don't even know how that could be legal if you really stop and think about it. But I guess if you were voted in, you were voted in. That's just the way it went. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's crazy, isn't it? Oh, hey, you know what? How come it's not showing? I don't know why it's not showing up, but that's okay. We'll just leave it as is. That's fine. Okay. And then so they continue the continuous control of this prosecutor's office made them just very powerful and just a legal force. I mean, this was decades and decades, and so the family's influence just extended that whole. They call it the Low Country, and I don't know why they call it the Low Country, but they do. So I mean, everybody, it was just a big political. Everybody knows that name, So if you had that last name, it was either a curse or it was or something special because people had, expectations out of these people. So the recent notoriety of the family, just with the scandals, the boat crash, the convictions, the deep-seated corruption, and all of that stuff. In essence, the Murdaugh name in South Carolina represents a historical pillar of the local legal establishment that's recently faced a dramatic downfall, extending their presence back through the 20th century and into the present day through their extensive family history and ongoing legal entanglements. So, now, what was weird about all these people, I'm going to move I don't need to leave it right there. I was like, oh, wait a minute, you'll be able to see me. But duh, the reason why I'm using my avatar is because this is sitting on a stool. And so I'm higher than my little screen over here. And so if I turned on my laptop and I just used my picture, you'd be looking at my chest, not my face, because it's on a stool. I know that's funny, but oh well, that's just the way this is the way it ended up today. But let me go. I'm going to go back over here. I'm going to find this picture of. I have pictures of slave homes that were on the plantation. The plantation's name was the Magnolia Plantation. And in fact, in 2025, when Buster got married, he got married in that plantation, which was strange because they don't really own it anymore. It's like part of some historical society home that's just been people go and tour it and that kind of thing. So, but I thought that was kind of interesting that he was able to get married there, out of all people. After all of this, he still got to do that. So,
wow.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. So let me see. Now, and the other thing I want to talk about is, let me go back over here to this. Now, let me ask you this. Do you know I know you know who Timmy is because we kind of talked about it for a second, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I was trying to talk to my husband about this a bit too. I said, imagine if you were Alex Murdaugh and you're over here with this family situation and all of this is expected of you. All of it. You this big grand life, all these big things. You've been doing this, but you're really kind of like the black sheep of the family because you're just not the same level attorney as the other ones are. Your kids are kind of wild. I mean, listen, how they got the name Timmy, and for people who don't know, is the fact that every time Paul was constantly in trouble, just constantly a problem, always doing something. He was just a little bit wild, right? And so they say, oh, it's Timmy. It's just Timmy, the altered personality of Paul. So
yeah,
I mean,
when he was drinking, that's when they named him that.
Right. So can you imagine what it'd be like if every member in your family is over there having to fix or clean up something Timmy is doing? I mean, that to me would be just horrible. If we're talking about Buster, Maggie, his uncles, his grandpa. In fact, the boat wreck, the first thing he did was want to call his grandpa because he knew his grandpa was going to have to get him out of it, right? It's all these different things that this kid did. And then you got Dad over there who claims, now I don't know if this is true or not. Let me fix my earbud. It's kind of falling out. He claims that he was doing 60 pills a day. Now, Sprinkle, you tell me how somebody can do 60 pills a day.
They couldn't. They'd be dead. They would be dead. Yeah, that's a lie.
Yeah, I mean, how would he function doing? Yeah. I mean, you still got to sleep. So, were you telling me if he was up 12 hours or 16 hours out of the day?
Well, he would overdose at that point. He wouldn't even be able to.
That's what I think.
That would be way too many.
Yeah, I think he would die from that. So I don't know how the partners in the firm or anybody, how they didn't notice this. But
not the pills that he was saying he was doing. If he was doing oxycodone, there's no way his body would be able to tolerate that.
Hell no. Now I can see
maybe
a little bit
Vicodin, possibly Vicodin, but not oxycodone. That would kill him.
Or even some narco. A little bit, right. Like the 5 milligrams, the 3255 or the 10s.
Right.
I can see, but you can't do 60 of them in a day and still function.
You can, and you can't do 60 oxycodone, you would die.
Right. So I don't know how anybody in that courtroom could have believed that, because that was ridiculous. Okay, now let's go back and talk about, remember all the money he paid Cousin Eddie?
Yeah.
And said, oh, it was for his drug deal, blah, blah, blah. No, it wasn't. Hey, Elizabeth, how you doing? It's always somebody else, even if it's someone else. You know that's right. You know that's right, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. I know it's late, but I wanted to talk about this. I was so excited. So I was waiting for my husband to go to bed and everything to calm down. I was like, all right, I can finally go and have some fun on YouTube tonight. So anyway, so that's why I came on so late. But okay, so there's all of these things all over Reddit and every place else. And so we're going to talk about this one for a second. So does anybody else have any personal stories about the Murdaughs? And this lady goes, I'll start. And then she goes, throw away, because obviously a small town. I remember going to a gathering at the Murdaughs' house in 2014 and drinking in their pool late one night. Alex and Maggie knew that we were all minors and we were all drinking at their home. So 2015, going to numerous parties, and Paul would be belligerently drunk, aggressive, and after a couple of run-ins with Timmy, I never wanted to be around the guy again. So, I mean, this is a minor describing going to their house and drinking, 2014 and 15. This other guy goes, I know a guy who went hunting with him one time, and during a break, one guy went off to use the bathroom. PM picked up a gun and set his sight on the guy's back, right? Oh, terrible. And then he goes, real sportsmen don't play with guns like that. I have no reason not to believe his story. See, it's just dangerous. Drinking, dangerous. And then this other woman says, in South Carolina, my brother and I were drilled on gun safety from early on. We were pretty young. Let's see if her story is, she didn't go there. Let's see. And that was her about that one. I'm trying to find one that says, yes, and we went to their house and blah, blah, But just all kinds. I was told that Paul would shoot dogs out of pure meanness and even to threaten to kill their own dogs. Yeah, I can imagine that. Because this altered personality is terrible, right? So, I don't know, man. There's some kind of hell right there. But let me go back over here now. Okay, I watched this thing. I don't know if y'all seen this or not, but I've watched this thing. It was Dr. Phil, and it was really, really good. It was a multi-part series about the Murdaughs and Timmy, and just how the family worked amongst themselves. And he talked about that the dark triad a lot, because he sees them not just one of them as being narcissistic, but a few of them as being psychopaths, narcissists, the whole things, because of their actions. And if Alex was one, but so was Paul, right? And so that family dynamics there it's pretty hard to live with, and I can imagine that it is. But let me pull this other thing back up. It was kind of interesting. I don't know. Have you watched any of Dr. Phil's story?
I've not seen anything with Dr. No.
Okay. Well, I mean, how do you feel about Dr. Phil?
I like him.
Okay. So, I mean, hey, Cinderella, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. I know it's late, but I couldn't wait. I had to wait for I was telling everybody I had to wait for my kids, my husband to go to bed and all that, so I could come on and enjoy my time with my friends on YouTube. All right. I'm going to go pull this up over here, and we'll see. Let me get rid of some of these. Whoops, look at all those Alex. Look at all those Murdaugh people. Okay, now let's go back over here. We're going to go to over here to YouTube, and I'm going to pull this up. It's kind of an interesting, I got to have my laptop to do that. I forgot. Oops. Okay. I mean, some people don't like Dr. Phil, and some people do, so it's just kind of, you just never know how people are going to react to it. But I thought he was very spot on when he started talking about Alex and, all of these people and how the whole dynamics of them went. But let me go find it. Hang on a second. Anybody else watch anything about Sebastian today? Very interesting, and I'm hoping this little thing that showed up is really about, I hope it really is about this child. Let's see. Here we go. Something about that he was in a hotel over in Kentucky. This guy called in to one of the stations and said, he was in a hotel. And then they called, here we go. They called the FBI and all that. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Don't start making that noise, bitch. Here we go. We're going to go to part 1. Let's see. Well, let's go back over here and find part 1. Don't mess up. All right. Okay. Here we go. We're going to listen to Dr. Phil. Oh, is that too loud, guys? Let me know if it's too loud. Oh, boy. Let me share my screen. Oh, you can see it. I got to share the screen properly. Okay.
Is confessor within a dynasty once thought of
cool,
as untouchable.
Yay!
Today, we'll start to explore the twisted saga of the Murdaugh family, a name that once carried a significant prestige and weight in South Carolina's Low Country. But behind the polished facade of Southern tradition, a web of secrets, corruption, and tragedy would soon surface. Alcohol abuse, anger, tragic drowning, financial fraud,
there goes that damn noise.
This was all part of the Murdaugh.
Okay, why is this noise happening? Hang on.
Is all.
Turn off the music and see if that.
It's coming back from. Oh my God! Don't piss me off now. Hang on a minute. Let me get rid of this. Let me turn this down or something, because it wasn't doing it until I started typing. So I'm going to get rid of that. Hang on just a second. We just won't do the Dr. Phil thing. Hang on a second. Yeah. We'll just leave it like that. Okay. Because it was fine until I started typing. All right.
Almost impossible to believe. What on earth could lead to a father being accused of murdering his own wife and son, his very flesh and blood? It goes against the very basics of human nature. But this isn't just a story about murder and scandal. It's a story decades in the making about toxic privilege, deceit, and betrayal. This is the Murdaugh's family story.
And it's bad.
Now, you probably know a lot about what presumably happened,
but you don't.
but there's a lot you don't know.
Mm-hmm. I
And
found that
more
out today.
importantly, why it happened. Look, I've probably read everything you've read, looked at everything you've looked at. I've done a series of shows about this myself, but I kept being haunted by the why. Why in the world did this happen? The surface answers are real easy. He was in financial trouble. He wanted insurance money. He was panicked. He didn't know what to do. But let me tell you, a lot of people get in financial trouble. A lot of people panic. A lot of people don't know what to do. And they don't take a gun, a shotgun, and blow off the heads of their wife and their son. So the answers to why have to run a whole lot deeper. This is a whole level of pathology. This is a whole level
Trigger warning, trigger
of
warning.
evil that just can't be explained by the common stresses, the problems that you face in even a twisted tale that you hear about in this kind of a story. This is the Murdaugh's family story. Look, the Murdaughs, they weren't just known in South Carolina's Low Country. They ran the place.
True.
What is a Low Country? It's just how they describe a part of that state. It was based in Hampton County. And there were 3 generations of Murdaugh men that held the office of solicitor, the region's top prosecutor for over 85 years. Think about it. That's almost a century of power, all held by one bloodline. Courtrooms, law enforcement, politics, you name it. Chances are the Murdaughs had their hands in it. In fact, the Murdaughs were so revered that a portrait of Alex's grandfather even hung in the local county courthouse. Now, at the center of the modern-day Murdaugh storm is patriarch Richard Alexander, Alex for short, a 4th-generation lawyer and once prominent figure in the family's influential personal injury law firm. So let's break down the present-day family tree a bit. There was Alex's wife, Maggie, who was known for her grace in social circles. Alex and Maggie met back when they were students at the University of South Carolina.
Okay, every once in a while we have to stop. Y'all know that. But, when I started looking at this and realized I could go back all the way back to 1793, and then I came across these, at first I didn't know what they were. But then I started reading, I'm like, oh my God, it was the ownership papers to their slaves. So if you weren't in here when we first started, the name of their plantation was the Magnolia Plantation. Just a little something about the Murdaughs. Here we go. Do y'all want me to speed this up to 1.5 because it's kind of long, and I don't want us to be, oops, wrong thing. I don't want us to, I have to do it over here. We'll just play it. It's fine. Here we go.
They married in 1993,
Crazy,
staying
right?
together for nearly 30 years. And together they raised 2 sons, Richard Alexander Jr., whom everyone called by his nickname Buster, and their younger son, Paul. Now, from the outside looking in, they were a happy family. Photos captured the Murdaughs at upscale social events, the men dressed in tuxedos, Maggie draped in fur. Other pictures showed them smiling while clad in camouflage and posing in coordinated preppy button-downs. They seemed to cherish family traditions and the image of togetherness. The 3 Murdaugh men all shared the same striking red hair, making them an unmistakable trio. Those who knew the Murdaughs and knew them well describe Alex as a doting father who would do anything for his sons. But behind the grand homes, the hunting lodges, and the society events, a much darker truth was brewing. One that would eventually shatter everything the Murdaugh name once stood for. The family's unraveling began with the youngest son, Paul. By the time he was a teenager, Paul would become known as a charming, fun-loving young man who had many friends and a close relationship with his grandparents. However, he also allegedly possessed a more sinister side. Known among friends for partying hard and throwing his family's name around when he got into trouble, Paul had a reputation for reckless behavior, and alcohol was often involved in his shenanigans. Those who knew him said it wasn't uncommon for Paul to drink heavily, sometimes even using his grandfather's ID to buy booze before he was legal. Not his father's, his grandfather's. That tells.
Okay, so I want you to think about this scenario. He gets out of the truck, he goes into the store, he's got his grandfather's ID. You know his grandfather's old. He gets into the store, he look. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if that's true. I know he used his brother's ID. So I don't know that that's actually true.
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's actually true either, other than the fact that, Dr. Phil is saying that. But I'm thinking in my mind, how are you going in the store with this old man's ID and buying booze?
That doesn't sound right to me.
But you know what? Maybe they never ID'd him. Think about that, because he's a Murdaugh. In a small town like that, maybe they never asked him for his ID. Who knows?
Yeah, but you think somebody at some random liquor store on the corner is going to know who the Murdaughs are?
It's a very small town. I mean...
Yeah.
if he was buying things only in his... if he was going out of town, I guess he would have to have something. He could use his brother's ID, but in that town, I don't think anybody ID'd him. But anyway, here we go. Sorry.
Tells you how much they had to overlook.
Good Lord.
The legality of him buying it. He was bringing in his grandfather's ID. It's a little hard to confuse that. He exhibited such a split personality when he was drunk versus sober that those closest to him even gave his intoxicated, belligerent self a nickname. They called him Timmy when he began drunkenly acting out. It was as if blaming his bad behavior on his alter ego made it easier to excuse. Now, Paul started dating a young blonde named Morgan Doty in high school. And they seemed like a well-suited couple who were crazy about each other.
Except...
But according to Morgan, this young love story was no fairy tale, because later Morgan would describe it as a tumultuous relationship plagued by verbal assaults and physical abuse, which were allegedly fueled by Paul's constant and out-of-control drinking. She claims that during the course of their relationship, he kicked her, punched her, and held her by the throat. Recounting one chilling night in a hotel after his brother Buster's graduation party, where she says Paul became violent and out of control during one of their fights. Coming up, he's alcohol-fueled, he shows aggression, lack of impulse control, and this is not on occasion. This is a pattern.
I'm going to skip the commercial. I think he does a commercial here.
Homeowners, when...
Hang on, I want to try to get past this. Oh, here we go.
Teen drinking often goes hand in hand
Here we go. All right.
with drug abuse, unprotected sex, physical altercations, and driving under the influence. In another disturbing account, Morgan describes Paul's alarming behavior after a Christmas party where she claimed that despite being heavily intoxicated, he still insisted on taking over the wheel and driving his truck home that night. Surprise, surprise, he lost control of the vehicle, causing it to land on its side in a ditch. Only by a stroke of luck were the two unharmed. And she says she tried to call 911, but Paul snatched her phone away and instead called his family. By the way, interfering with a 911 call can be a crime in and of itself. Soon after, Paul's parents and grandfather arrived on the scene, and Morgan claimed they rushed over to clean up Paul's incriminating evidence, swiftly removing all evidence of drinking, open containers of alcohol, firearms before the police could arrive. And according to Morgan, this wasn't a case of his parents turning a blind eye. She said Alex and Maggie not only knew of Paul's excessive drinking, underage by the way, they enabled it. They knew that he often used his older brother Buster's ID to get alcohol, and he would also sometimes use their credit cards to purchase the booze. So they had evidence right on their credit card statements. Now, later on in court, Morgan would provide video evidence showing Paul's drinking excessively with his family right there, watching it happen. She alleged that Paul drank almost daily and usually to the point of gross intoxication. So let's just step back and take a look at what we're describing here, because it gives you a profile of the family dynamic that's going on. His behavior patterns and warning signs were glaring. These are going off like fireworks on the 4th of July. He's alcohol fueled. He shows aggression, lack of impulse control, and this is not on occasion. This is a pattern. It's frequent alcohol abuse, which is known to impair judgment, reduce inhibitions, and increase aggression. And his parents knew this. As I said, they witnessed this. When alcohol becomes tied to a person's identity, of course it can act as a gateway to moral disengagement, where you give yourself permission to drink, and then when you drink, this acts as a disinhibition agent. So it stops you from being inhibited and spins your moral compass where you don't react to normal right and wrong. Paul's alleged abuse of his girlfriend Morgan, while under the influence, suggests more than just a drinking problem. It points to a pattern of using alcohol
speed it up for a little bit,
as a misguided form of release. Maybe it's for his anger. Maybe it's his need to dominate. Maybe he feels overshadowed by his older brother or his father or whatever. But his reported actions following this 2017 truck crash, taking away Morgan's phone, calling for his family, clearly indicates he knew they would cover up for him. This is a deep-rooted belief that problems could be erased just by calling Daddy. Daddy's the power in the county. Daddy's the prosecutor. Daddy's the one that'll just sweep all this under the rug and not even talk about it the next day. He had learned from his elders that because of their family status, they were above the law. They were allowed to live by a different set of rules. And Paul's alleged violent outbursts, especially during private, emotionally charged moments, signal something deeper going on. The most powerful role model in any child's life is the same-sex parent. That's the role model. That's who sets the standard. That before too. I submit that that's evidence of what the dynamic was in that family. And clearly, Paul had a dual identity. He presented himself as charismatic and outgoing. But those who really knew him knew there was a Jekyll-Hyde situation going on. And those that were around him the most tell a very different story. He wasn't charismatic. He wasn't Mr. Gregarious. It was a Jekyll-Hyde situation, and a dangerous path was being traveled, and it was being traveled without intervention, without accountability. His behavior was spiraling out of control. And when these teenagers don't have clear boundaries, it can result in relational trauma. So from the outside looking in, perhaps it seemed like Paul had a cool dad. This is where we go to party. We just know that he's going to be okay. Let him off the hook. Wrecks his truck. There was no evidence that there was any kind of accountability. Seemed like he was just letting him be a cool kid, drink, party. But really, it was setting him up to fail. He was modeling behavior, taking away any kind of boundaries that clearly he needed. Time and time again, Paul was getting away with things without so much as a slap on the wrist. And it seemed to be emboldening him because the worst was yet to come. On the night of February 20th.
Right. You know, we have to stop for fair use for every once in a while. Y'all know that. But anyway, I don't know why I have to tell you. You just know that. I especially don't want to get a strike from old Dr. Phil over here. But, you know, the thing about this kid is everybody in town knew that this kid was like this. So, yeah, codependent, enabling, you know, till someone lost an eye. The girl on the boat would have been reckless involuntary manslaughter, not necessarily murder, but negligence was involved. It absolutely was. I mean, the first thing he did was call his grandfather, thinking his grandfather's going to come clean this up real fast. And look what his dad did at the hospital. Y'all remember that, right? Those at each one of these kids' rooms telling who was driving the boat, trying to put it on somebody else. But here's the funny part about this that I found as I was doing a little research. When the kids started talking about who was driving the boat, it was split. Somebody said the other guy was driving it, and then some of them said he was driving it. So then there was this whole big thing about who was really driving the boat. We all know it was Paul, right? But why did some of the other kids say, no, it was the other kid? See, they were trying to blame it on somebody else. Did he promise them money? I don't know, but something weird happened there too. Here we go.
3rd, 2019, Paul and 5 of his friends, including his girlfriend Morgan, who just kept hanging in there, boarded the Murdaugh's family boat. After a night of drinking, heading out into the dark waters of Archer's Creek, surveillance footage showed Paul staggering, blatantly drunk. Now, think about this. If anywhere along the way, his parents, his father,
really, they did intimidate
had put up a stop sign, had held him accountable, had in any way said, this behavior is not okay and you will not behave this way, this night might not have happened. But none of those stop signs were there. None of that accountability was there. None of that parenting took place.
It couldn't.
So a drunken Paul is seen staggering onto this boat, slurring his words, belligerent. He was insistent on driving the boat, which seemed to be a pattern, because we already know that he insisted on driving the truck that he ran off in the ditch and put it on his side. It could have killed them both. And later, police reports revealed that Paul was indeed severely intoxicated at the time, with a blood alcohol level of, wait for it, 0.286. That's more than 3 times the legal limit for operating a vehicle. 3 times. Now, to hear Paul's surviving friends tell it, this was a boat ride from hell. Wasted and out of control, Paul was allegedly driving this boat recklessly, zigzagging and speeding through the water. Don't forget, it's pitch black out. He was reportedly arguing with Morgan, shouting at her, and at one point even slapped her. Paul's friends, the other passengers, were panicked, yelling at him to stop, pleading with him to let someone else drive. Witnesses later recalled the boat's lights were off, leaving them nearly blind in the dark waters near the bridge. At around 2:20 a.m., the boat collided with a bridge piling, and they were at high speed. Morgan, along with friends Connor Cook and Miley Ullman, suffered injuries in the crash, while the impact hurled Paul, Mallory Beach, and her boyfriend Anthony Cook into the water. Paul and Anthony resurfaced. Mallory Beach, nowhere to be found.
Okay. Did y'all watch the video of the police video when they showed up? It's the body cam footage of it. If you watch the body cam footage, it's quite amazing, because you can hear, he's over there drunk and carrying on. He's kind of smiling a little bit and laughing a little bit. And then, the other guy's over there just screaming at him about where's Mallory? Look what you've done. This isn't funny. This whole thing. And I mean, one of them is described as he was laying in the bottom of the boat, holding his girlfriend tight because the guy was going so reckless and he was scared. He was scared it was going to wreck. He thought, well, if I hold on to her, we'll be okay. But she flew out anyway, which that's just horrific if you stop and think about it. How could you? How could you do that to somebody?
Well, they said that he wanted to take the boat because he knew he was too drunk to drive.
But you know what? One of the other kids could have driven the boat, but see, he had this problem. He would never let anybody else drive like that. It's mine. It's mine. It's mine. Mm-hmm. That power trip that he just lived on a power trip. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Panic immediately set in. Take a listen to some of the dash cam audio from when investigators first arrived on the scene.
It's terrible.
Yeah, fine.
Trigger warning.
Sure. And we should check down, right? Yeah, fine. Shit, what's going on? Hey, what's your last name, buddy? Murdaugh. M-U-R-D-A-U-G-H. Okay, what's your first name? Paul. Paul, P-A-U-L? Holy shit. Yeah. Bro, they fine, man. Hey. We're looking right now for it. They're down there looking, okay? But they got a good search on it, right? Yeah. They probably don't find it. They don't find it, okay? They're down there looking right now, okay? They got it. That's a good search, right? Yeah. Yeah, they got a good team down there looking for it, okay? Can I use your phone? I don't have my phone on me right now. Oh. Here, stay right here. I'm going to go get that one you dropped on the ground back there, all right? Yes, sir. You got it already? Yeah. So there were 6 total people. Okay. They hit, I think, one of the bridge pile, and where you see the boat before it ended up. Okay. One of the young ladies got ejected. She still has not been found. Tide's going out, and we tried walking down the marsh for the ways to find her. But the young lady down there, I think, the most severe so far. The people that we have, 5 that we have. Okay. So we got 5.
That's so sad.
5 yes, sir. Okay. Tide's going out, and they were running this way when they hit the bridge, so she probably got ejected in the current carrier down that way.
I did find a county out of Hampton, a deal out of Hampton County for that.
No, you just sit right here. I'm not closing the door. I'm gonna get you a cigarette. Sit right there. Sit right here. Got everybody coming out here.
Just explain to him, get him whatever he wants.
No, you're not. Listen, listen, Pete. I'm here for you. All right. We're chilling. I understand you're upset. I ain't about to sit here and tell you to calm down, okay? But I'm gonna get you a cigarette.
Absolutely. Go ahead. Fire, take a drink there.
Did you hear what he said? I'm fucked. Clearly concerned about himself, not concerned about anybody else. I'm fucked. Wow. That's just pitiful. Jesus, okay.
Mom, y'all need to come and be for quick. We hit a bridge in the boat. Connor's fucked up. Connor's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory. Morgan's messed up bad. We can't find Mallory, Mom. I don't know, Mom. There's 50 cops out here. Everybody shit up. I said there's 50 cops out here. And one of the cops is nice enough to let me call you. Mom, there's 50 cops here. Coast Guard, everything. We can't find Mallory. It's been 30 minutes, Mom. You probably need to call Mr. May or Mr. Phillips.
Hey, there's one's injured on the boat all the way down there. I don't know if EMS knows all that. But
So, do you know loading now? They're going to ETA 20 minutes.
Hello?
Mm-mm.
They told me you're in law enforcement? Okay. Well, I guess, man, we're here. Like I said, I'll let you come see your son soon as he is. I got him pretty much as calm as I can get him. I totally understand. So, me and him, I'll be hanging out with him the entire time, okay? Just Google Paris Island. Yeah, just Google Paris Island, the main entrance gate. It's around the main roads. One way in, one way out. You will not miss us.
The cop knows he's drunk.
Get that motherfucker right there away from me.
Ooh.
He ain't gonna get no fucking.
Oh, yes.
Bro, you fucking smiling like you're fucking funny. My fucking girlfriend goes, bro. You think it's fucking funny? Sit down. Hope he's right fucking hell.
Sit down. Is somebody put him in the car? The one with the towel? Go ahead. Where's your cigarette at? The driver, how much has he had to drink?
Dude, I can tell you this much. We left, I don't even know where the fuck we were. We left and stopped fucking downtown Buford. And me and him about fought on the fucking dock because I told him not to go up there to that fucking bar that we needed to be going home.
Downtown? How are y'all drinking down there? And y'all
Hell, I wasn't. I stayed on the damn boat.
But he was drinking actually at the bar?
I reckon. I didn't go up there.
So y'all came.
Let me tell you something. He was served 19 drinks that night. 19 drinks. That's right. Imagine that.
From downtown through the creek, and that's when he was going way too fast.
So I don't even know. I finally got to the point I grabbed my girlfriend and put her in my lap in the bottom of the boat and was holding on with my eyes closed. The next thing I know, I'm in the fucking water. Is anybody in the water looking for us?
Yes, we got tomorrow. We got DNR, fire department's got their boats in the water. Coast Guard's on the way with the chopper. DNR's en route.
Oh, it's so sad.
Y'all know Alex Murdaugh?
Oh, yeah, I know that name.
That's his son.
That's so driving the boat.
Good luck. To be honest with you,
The one you were getting mad at back there, he was in his drawers.
he was the last one driving whenever
In
I
his
got down
drawers.
to Florida boat.
Boxers.
Yes, sir.
Where's his damn clothes?
Let me know if you need another cigarette, all right, Bo?
That's my dude. Went to Boston outside.
He's still got clothes on, correct?
Yeah.
All right, that's what. Yeah, they're good. Everybody's good physical wise. Okay, but I just wanted. We need to know exactly who's driving. That's you said that's the last one you saw, so that's why I told them because his ass will be responsible. Okay. You hear me? Don't worry about that. We're gonna handle it on that end. Okay.
Did you hear that?
Hey, I'm with Department of Natural Resources. Who was driving the boat?
The last time I grabbed my girlfriend and got down in the bottom of the boat, Paul was driving. Yes. I begged and begged and begged and begged to let me drive. If Connor was driving, it happened.
The Italian one with the fire department. This was the DNR.
They were both sitting on the front seat.
You were laying in the front
In the bottom, no, laying at the bottom of the boat.
before you hit.
Yes.
Okay, and Paul and Connor were sitting on right behind the console. Yes.
I can
I fought with both of them for 30 minutes about letting me drive, and both of them thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah. Okay.
Paul is
Wow.
incredibly drunk at this point, so he's not in possession of his faculties and doesn't get what's happened. But his friend Anthony Cook is absolutely outraged that he doesn't seem to get.
You know, Cinderella, you're right. It just must be nice to feel so important, right? But did you catch how the cops were talking to him? Like, well, don't worry about that, bud. Don't worry. Like they were his friend or something. Like he didn't need to worry about this. And who was trying to? And then they try to put it on Connor that was driving the boat. Oh my God, this is just. When you hear all this, you got to think to yourself, is this real? Did this really happen like this? God dang. Horrible.
The fact that Anthony's girlfriend, Mallory Beach, has disappeared after he drove the boat drunk. He yells at him, "UMF, you're smiling," and told him to rot in hell.
And he is, I'm sure.
So at this point, it's kind of like, look, this is over. The entitlement's over. The fun and games is over. And remember,
Right.
the reports are they're begging him to let somebody else drive. This is no longer fun and games. This is no longer fun and games. This isn't them all out, hey, having a good time on a boat. They're all scared to death for their lives at this point. This is not Paul driving the boat. This is Timmy. This is the crazy guy driving the boat. And his demeanor during the police interaction, he's clearly drunk. He's wearing only boxers. He was more concerned about getting in touch with his grandfather than the missing girl. So at this point, you're starting to see some things that we're going to see later concerning his father. That's why we're spending time talking about Paul here. I know that this trial is about Alex, but why are we talking about Paul? We're talking about Paul because there's a family dynamic going on here. And if you want to talk about why, you have to look at everything that's surrounding this. I said, you know a lot about what presumably happened, but do you really know why? Do you know what's going on here? When you have generations of entitlement, honest to God, these people have a whole different way of seeing the world. One of the characteristics of narcissism is that people see things from their point of view. If you don't have a narcissistic personality, it's hard to understand that narcissists only see things from their perspective. They only see things through their point of view. They don't have the ability for empathy. Now, empathy is the ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes and experience, connect to, understand what they're going through. If someone is experiencing pain or loss or confusion or whatever, someone with empathy has the ability to relate to that and understand what they're going through. Narcissists don't even try. There's only one perspective, it's theirs. So at this point, Paul, who I submit to you has a narcissistic personality, I haven't evaluated him. I'm just telling you, if I did, this would be on my short list of considerations. And he comes by it honestly, because I believe it's one of the defining characteristics of this dynasty, of this family. They look at things like, how does this impact me? That's what I care about.
Amen.
One of the things psychology does is it endeavors to categorize things into neat segments, to pigeonhole things. And why? It's forced on the field of psychology, just like it is on medicine, by insurance. Because if you're going to submit a claim, you got to put down a diagnosis. So you have to differentiate. A physician has to say, well, this is a kidney infection, or this is a sore throat, or this is a broken arm. They have to put something down so they can submit a claim in order to get paid. If they just put down a general description of what's going on, there's not a category for general description of what's going on. The same thing with psychology. You have to put down a diagnosis. This is a neurosis. Well, what kind of neurosis? This is psychosis. What kind of psychosis? I wrote a book not long ago called Life Code. And I said, I'm going to throw off this tendency to pigeonhole everything because I don't think that's the way people live. You have to look at the blend of these things because they don't pigeonhole well. You have to blend some of these things to really capture the personality that you're dealing with. There is a blend. And one of the blends that I think is going on here is something called the dark triad.
Yeah.
Which is narcissism, psychopathy, and Machiavellianism. Let me talk about these things because they occur at a subclinical level, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. But these three things in combination can be really bad, depending on some other characteristics. But like grandiosity, pride, egotism, a lack of empathy, these are things that characterize narcissism. Think about Paul here. He is grandiose. He makes up his own rules. He rolls a truck over, no big deal, just call the house. They'll come fix this. He's drunk. He wants booze. He takes his grandfather's ID and walks in and just expects that there might be a 40-year age gap between his age and the ID he's got. Hey, that's all right. Don't worry about it. I'm a Murdaugh. It's okay. He's entitled. He's grandiose. He expects it to be okay. Psychopathy, antisocial behavior, impulsivity, selfishness, callousness, lack of emotion, remorselessness. And then Machiavellianism, manipulative, indifference to morality, no empathy, calculated focus on self-interest. Yeah. But these things overlap. This was a concept that was developed back in 2002 by Delroy Paulhus and Kevin Williams, these Canadian psychologists. And there's actually a test for this if you want to know if there's somebody in your family or maybe you think you yourself are guilty of it. There was a
Okay. Remember when we read the book, Memoirs of a Sociopath? Okay. Remember she talked about these tests right here. It's the same test that she's talking about. Here we go.
Test put together by Richard Christie and Florence Geist. It's 20 items on this test. And if you score high, you're likely to have high levels of deceitfulness, exploitiveness, be cold, and unemotional. It's called the Mach 4 test. We'll put a link to it in case you want to know if you're so afflicted or somebody in your family is. But I think that's what's going on in this family. I think these people are afflicted and live within this dark triad, which can really lead to evil behaviors. That's what's going on here. He's not concerned about his friend, quote, friend, or the fact that his friend's girlfriend, the love of his life, is missing in the dark waters of this creek at night. He's not thinking, oh my God, I've killed somebody. He could care less. He's wanting to get a hold of his family so they can get over there and fix everything for him.
That's right.
That's what he's concerned about. Now, where does he get this behavior? The most powerful role model in anyone's family, in anyone's life, is a same-sex parent. That's Alex, the father. What has he role modeled? What has he reinforced with this kid? He kept demanding a phone so he could contact his grandfather, Randolph. And following the crash, Anthony Cook informed deputies that Paul Murdaugh was behind the wheel. When he said, you know, Alex Murdaugh, that's his son. Good luck, was the comment that emphasized what they all knew. The weight of the Murdaugh name carried in Low Country's justice system. So there were signs of a cover-up right there on the bank. And it's interesting to note, despite Cook immediately naming Paul as the driver of the boat, initial police reports failed to even reflect that. So that raised early concerns about interference. Chaos followed. Paul was not helpful at all when it came to first responders. In fact, he was rather combative and disruptive. He was never given a breathalyzer at the scene. His friend, Cook, was saying he's drunk, he's driving the boat. He was out of control. He was never given a breathalyzer. By the time the first Department of Natural Resources officer arrived, Paul had already been taken to the hospital, eliminating any chance to conduct a field sobriety test. In the hospital, Paul's blood was drawn for medical reasons.
Okay, think about this for a second. Look how long it had been since the wreck happened before they draw the blood. Okay, and you know, because it dissipates in your system. I don't know how long, you know, how much per minute or whatever. But by the time they take, so if his blood alcohol was 2.86, I think he said, imagine what it really was before, when the accident first happened. I mean, listen to what happened there. They covered it up from the get-go. And you know, he's not going to tell him who's driving. Only one guy's telling the truth about who's driving. He's not saying nothing at all because he already knows not to say anything at all. Because his dad's already coached him on that. But think about this. He is just like his father. When you look at both of the big pictures, he is. The weird thing is, when it was all said and done after this boat wreck and the families all sued, the Mallory Beaches family got $15 million from the store who sold them the alcohol, not from the Murdaughs. Remember, think about that for a second.
Prompted by his erratic behavior and possible injuries. Now, later, investigators secured a warrant to access his medical records. That's when they uncovered his dangerously high blood alcohol level. Remember, it was 3 times normal. This is a time where you can actually stop breathing. It's so high. Your motor skills, your reflexes, your reasoning are so impaired, you can barely walk, let alone drive a boat at high speed at night with poor visibility towards a bridge abutment. Meanwhile, according to hospital records and eyewitness accounts, Alex Murdaugh showed up almost immediately.
Of course.
And he got to work to make sure that he had control of the narrative, just as he always does. So what did he do in the wake of the accident? Well, he's talking to survivors. He moved between hospital rooms, speaking with the teens involved. Now, according to witnesses, he repeatedly urged Connor Cook to keep quiet about who was driving the boat, telling him everything's going to be all right. Just say you don't know who was driving. I've got you. Now, Paul and Connor had both taken turns driving the boat. But again, according to numerous witnesses, it was Paul who was behind the wheel when the boat slammed into the bridge. Alec recommended that Connor hire an attorney named Corey Fleming to represent him, without disclosing that Fleming was not only a longtime friend, but also Paul's godfather. Talk about a conflict of interest. So here you are at a hospital with a kid who's in shock. His girlfriend is missing, presumably dead. And here comes power figure Alex, says, hey, I got you. I know you were driving, but listen, don't worry about it. I got you. Hire this lawyer. We'll take care of this. We got you covered. Hospital staff was so troubled by his meddling behavior that they asked him to stop interfering with the other patients and return to Paul's room. Some claimed that Alex flashed his solicitor's badge at the hospital.
I'm sure he did.
To exert influence. Now, you talk about narcissism, entitlement, a lack of boundaries, privilege.
Should we go ahead and copy this, but insert Crispy Critter's face on there instead of this one? Think about that for a second, Cinderella.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. Here we go.
Zero moral compass. There aren't enough adjectives to talk about the abuse of the system here. This is witness tampering, obstruction of justice. There's not enough time to go through what you could allege here.
Oh, yeah.
Now, regarding Alex's behavior, criminals themselves, as the center of the universe, often feel wronged by others when events don't go their way. They think the system is failing them, the system is out to get them. And so they just try to hijack the narrative because they think they're entitled. They think, okay, we got to fix this before they get us. Now, keep in mind, while Alex Murdaugh is working like a dog behind the scenes on his drunk son's behalf, Mallory Beach
is still out there.
Is still gone. She's lost out there in the water in the pitch black. But
see, I don't remember at what time they had called her parents to let her know.
They never did. A friend saw it, and a friend called the parents. The police department never did call her parents.
Does that make any sense at all? I mean, why would you not call her parents? She's missing. She's been in a boat wreck.
Yep. A friend of hers found out about it and called them.
Think about that.
Horrible.
That makes it look like the whole town is over there just corrupted, gonna cover this up, doesn't it? Now, you hear about cases like that all the time, and one of them that's a big thing that's talked about in Bless His Heart is they always talk like that about Sebastian Rogers' case. They do all the time. Oh, you hear it all the time. I'll tell you something I found out. I don't know if y'all know this or not, but another creator, I'm not going to name names, had put out there that, oh my God, the sheriff had bought a $1 million home. How is he affording this on his salary? Blah, blah. Okay. I don't know where she got information from, but I went out to the county records and pulled up the address myself. He doesn't own that property. He lives there, but he doesn't own that property. So no, the sheriff did not buy a $1 million home. That kind of misinformation that just fuels people to be upset and call corruption needs to stop. It is not helping find this child. But anyway, we're talking about the Murdaughs, not that case. But anyway, we'll go back and finish. It just makes me sick, guys. It makes me sick.
Was Alex using his influence to call in EMTs, to call in search teams, to do anything he could?
No.
He was not demonstrating concern for her or for her parents. who are at this point in the throes of despair and fear. Instead, he's focused yet again on pressuring and bamboozling others to keep his son out of trouble. There's a term in trauma psychology called betrayal blindness, which describes how communities and institutions often ignore or suppress wrongdoing to preserve cherished relationships or reputations. The perks, the functional blindness, the quote, look the other way mentality when it came to the Murdaughs was a very real thing. Now think about this. Think about it from her parents' standpoint. For 8 agonizing days, search crews combed the marshes, dragging the riverbed, scanning the surface from boats and helicopters, desperately looking for any trace of this 19-year-old. Her family stood on the shoreline praying for a miracle. Her best friend, sobbing, describing the last time she saw Mallory, launched into the darkness after the boat slammed into that bridge piling. Finally, on March 3rd of 2019, Mallory's body was found 5 miles downriver.
That's just horrific.
It was caught in a marshy inlet.
Oh, my.
She had been in the water for 7 long days and nights. Her family destroyed. No words to describe their pain. Just the unbearable weight of knowing their daughter wasn't coming home. And you can imagine how that body looked.
I don't want to imagine
after spending all
they
of those
wanted
days
to go
and
down and
nights
see the crash site, and the police wouldn't allow them to
decomposing in
go
that.
down. And they watched Maggie and Alec go down to the crash site.
I mean, that is just so. I don't. God Almighty, how could the police? How are those police living with themselves, knowing that that's how they treated this family? Well, look what they're doing to the little girl's family that supposedly fell off or jumped off from that 17-story balcony here in Austin. Okay, listen, the biggest game of the year is the rivalry game. Yes, all those kids get downtown and they get drunk and all this other stuff. She ends up going to this apartment over there. They're all kind of, a little fight ensued, and people in that apartment were saying, in the apartments around saying, we heard this, we heard that. But the girls in the apartment, the 3 other girls in the apartment going, we don't know, we were asleep. Bullshit. Yeah. They all shut up. Nah. In fact, the girl that actually rented the apartment, she moved out, the apartment's empty now. The very same day she moved out, she went home. Yeah, that's fishy as hell. Same thing as this mess right here. They're covering it up. I mean, God, here we go.
Water. Animals, fish, all the things that contributed to her decomposition.
That's terrible.
According to those who knew her best, Mallory was a bubbly, positive young woman who had so many friends. She loved fashion. She worked in a local boutique. She aspired to do home renovation projects and real estate. Hers was a life cut short, and in such a preventable way.
Over drinking.
If only Paul had not insisted on driving that boat. If only Paul's father had been a father. Parent is both a noun and a verb. You are a father, but then you must father. He didn't do that. Mallory's family hoped that justice would soon follow. It wouldn't bring her back, but at least someone would be held accountable. But in the shadow of the Murdaugh name, even hope felt like a very fragile, elusive thing. It took nearly 2 months for Paul to face charges in the deadly boat crash, a delay that only deepened public suspicion. The reasons remain unclear, but many believe it was due to a mix of conflicting accounts over who was driving. Remember, Alex tried to pin it on Connor Cook.
Heck yeah.
And the involvement of law enforcement officers with personal ties to the Murdaugh family. It wasn't until April 2019 that Paul was finally charged with 3 felonies: boating under the influence, causing death, and 2 counts of boating under the influence causing great bodily injury. But the handling of these judgments drew public backlash. There were no handcuffs, no jail booking, no mugshots.
Right. He never even spent a night in jail.
Paul was issued a summons, a piece of paper, to appear in court.
Who else gets a summons to appear in court? Hell no. You're arrested. You're taken to jail. You're spending the night in jail. You're going to go before a judge and see if you can even get a bond. But I mean, he's clearly murdered somebody here, so does he deserve a bond? No. But no, he's just taking on home with a little piece of paper. We'll see you later, buddy. Have a good time. And what do you think he's doing the very next day or a couple of days after that? When he's feeling sorry for himself. Right. Right back out there having a big time. Right back out there. Yeah. It is, oh God.
Wasn't arrested. Nobody cuffed him, took him
God
in.
almighty.
You just give him a ticket to appear in court. He pleaded not guilty and was released on $50,000 personal recognizance bond. Now, that meant
zero money.
nothing.
Yeah.
Now, this is highly unusual, and it reeks of the Murdaughs currying favor. Keep in mind, a young woman died. The young woman was killed. The fact that this occurred on water instead of pavement is of no consequence. You're operating a vehicle under the influence, 3 times the legal limit. The fact that it's water instead of the road, no difference. There was clear evidence at the time of the crash that Paul was intoxicated. How many other would-be felons do you know who would get to basically skip out of court whistling Dixie when they're faced with such heinous charges? Of course, Paul lawyered up with none other than Dick Harpootlian, one of the most powerful defense attorneys in South Carolina. He's the real deal. State senator known for his aggressive courtroom style and decades-long legal career, including major prosecutions and defense cases. Also part of Murdaugh's defense team was attorney Jim Griffin. The family had the resources to hire Harpootlian, and Paul certainly needed his expertise. He may have been treated with kid gloves up until this point, but the charges he faced carried real consequences, and he was staring down serious prison time. Now, it's hard to get someone with a generational legacy like the Murdaughs into a courtroom facing charges, but once you do, there can be a lot of resentment, and a jury is just apt to slap them pretty hard because they put up with a lot. They can go in there anonymously and vote, and they could tag them pretty hard. But court dates just kept getting pushed.
Of course.
Delays piled up. Now, in the meantime, you might think that this young woman's death and these grave charges might have served as an earth-shattering wake-up call and a rock-bottom moment for Paul. Yeah, well, think again.
Yeah.
He did not appear to cease drinking or partying. In late May of 2021, Paul was stopped by law enforcement while preparing to host a boat party.
Again.
That's right.
Again.
A boat party involving alcohol. Officers with the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources intervened before the group could launch, finding a cooler stocked with booze. Once again, who shows up?
Daddy.
Well, Alex, Daddy. Big Daddy reportedly stepped in and no charges were brought. Now think about that. You got this young man who is facing charges concerning the death of a young woman from operating a boat drunk. And here he is getting ready to operate a boat drunk. And he's getting ready to get arrested. But Daddy steps in and no charges were brought. Still, the trial loomed, but as fate would have it, Paul would never get his day in court because he would soon no longer be alive. June 7th, 2021, the day that everything changed for the Murdaughs. That night, Paul and his mother Maggie were found shot to death near the dog kennels on the family's sprawling country property.
1,700 acres.
It appeared to be a brutal, calculated ambush and the beginning of a twisted story no one saw coming. The allegations? Daddy showed up again. On our next episode, we'll uncover the shocking twist behind one of the South's most infamous murder cases. A mother and son gunned down on their own land. A once respected family name now scandalized in a way that could not be cleaned up. And when suspicion turns to family patriarch Alex Murdaugh, the headlines erupt. But the twist and secrets that would soon unravel are more jaw-dropping than the wildest movie script you could imagine. And we're going to break it all down. Every betrayal.
Okay. Now, I'll tell you something else I came across, and I found this to be completely interesting because, okay, remember that, I don't know if you watched the trial or not, but when you watch the trial, there's certain things that we don't see because we can't. You know, they protect some information from the public. However, there was this discussion over at CrimeCon where this, do you know about this, Sprinkle? Did you hear about this thing that happened at CrimeCon where they talked about this? It was a special deal. It was a special talk, a special speech, and this guy came up and he described all this. We need to watch this too because it is very. Okay, I'm going to tell you, it's kind of a trigger warning, but it gives you a lot of insight as to a lot of the things that happened right there that night and what the guy did to cover all this up. So I'm going to go find this right quick, and we're going to pull that back up because I was so shocked. CrimeCon, okay, Murdaugh. Okay, hang on. UGH. I could not believe what I was seeing. Okay.
Paul was shot with an entire load of buckshot real close in the middle of his chest.
You get
One in a million
okay, that is the
people
beginning.
can walk away from
Watch
that.
this. Watch
he
this.
had a nasty flesh
shocking.
wound, guys. Doctor said that if he would have received medical attention, he'd have been fine. Entered the center of his chest, slightly anatomical left of the midline. Under the skin, did not even penetrate his lungs. Exited under his arm. Yeah. Arms up, like getting robbed, right?
No.
Entered the underside of his arm and exited the outside of his arm. What does that tell you? His arms wasn't up.
Okay, watch the pictures, okay?
You can still see some of those pellet defects. The defense asserted that he had his arms up. Well, shot that part down. The entire load, like I said, entered his chest. The wad was actually protruding from his chest. You could take your fingers and pull it out. It was just lying there. It started to spread. We had visible wounds, exit wounds, and possible exit wounds. Do the math, guys. Pencil sketch, out of respect, but do the math. That's the outside of Paul's tricep bicep. An artist's rendition of it. 9 pellets. There's the window, 7 pellets. Y'all remember it's a cone? I'm not up here to degrade anybody, guys. Expert for the defense said, I bent down and peeped through the hole. Saw where it hit the pine tree. Guys, this was a quail hunting preserve. Any quail hunters out there? Any bird hunters out there? Awesome, awesome. Well, you know that shot pellets do not travel like a mama duck with the babies behind them, right? They spread. That's why they call it a scatter gun. Okay, well, we got 7 here, and we had a large portion of glass broke out of the bottom, so probably all 9 exited. I placed those footprints there in that photograph that I took. Shows Paul's approximate location in the room, so you can see how it entered the midline and exited the anatomical left side of his body. These are original photographs. You see the shot shells behind the door. Something interesting. I get people all the time, and look, everybody can have an opinion. You don't have to agree with me. I'm a big boy. Used to be a lot bigger. Paul's touch DNA was on the back of those shells. If you heard the testimony, touch DNA, guys, not blood. What does that mean? It means Paul loaded that shotgun. It means he loaded it. The shotgun that took his life. Anybody that hunts quail knows that the law, you can only have 3 shells in the gun. But also anybody with gun discipline knows you don't carry around a loaded gun in your car. So that takes us to what?
The house.
Even by Edisto math. 2 shells. We heard testimony that when Paul's truck was in the shop, his 300 blackout and his shotgun was down at the kennel somewhere. Several of his friends testified to that. Those shot shells had his touch DNA on the guys. They said, how did it get under the door? They couldn't get under the door. Look, almost 2 inches of clearance under the door. Like I said, post-hole diggers, you don't need one to tell you how they got under the door. These original photographs, guys, there's the blood spatter at the top of the door, and I've got circled a pellet defect. That is from the original scene. When I went, it had been pressure washed and cleaned, I had to find something to orient myself.
Still there.
You can see that defect. See it in the original door? Right there. Right to the top of the corner of that panel. And that's the direction of the spatter. Now the expert said he was on his knees. He was shot execution style from the top down. Okay? From top down. Guys, his brain was ejected.
Trigger warning, trigger
in
warning.
The roof of the feed room. Now I'm gonna tell you, I'm a country boy. Born with a shotgun in my hand. But if I got one that shoots back at me, I'm getting rid of them. All of them. All of them. There's a defect, guys, in the original photo. There it is in my photo, plus some additional defects. You know, these people say, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so and so. Look, you can't argue with the evidence. The door's still there. Everybody said, why didn't Paul slam the door, lock the door? Paul was a little guy, but he was bigger than 4 inches. He could not shut the door. Don't know that he tried, but he could not shut that door. We got less than 4 inches between him and that shelf. There it is, guys.
Okay, see right there, that is the angle
That's the
right
direction
there.
of the shot pattern. I don't care what 4 experts that got paid way more than me from out of town said. That's the direction. Newton's law, object in motion, right? Y'all remember that part? Gonna remain in motion? Okay. Yes, Mr. Harpootlian. I know there's 2 numbers on a protractor. Yes, I do. Yes, I measured from the door frame sideways, but kind of shocked him when I pulled one out of my pocket. Here we go, guys. Like I said, pencil rendition. You see the blood spatter and you can see the yellow arrow. Those are Paul's footwear impressions. They were identified by the original SLED agents, and I verified them. They're correct. Those are his footwear impressions in his blood. So he had to free bleed for a moment before he did what? Step in that blood. Remember, he's got a superficial wound to his arm. His arm's going to be down. Where does the blood go? See, they tried to make this thing really, really difficult. Smoke and mirrors. If you think about it, you could have solved this. Not that difficult. If a dummy like me can figure it out, it's not that difficult, guys. You can see him. They're round. Them blood drops are round going to the door. They're not directional. They're round. That means the source is walking really, really slow. Okay? If he was moving fast, you'd see a direction in that blood. Kind of like a reversed sperm. That makes sense. That's the way I look at it, reverse sperm. There's his footwear once again. That is a void area. If you look at that blue line I've placed in that photograph and that red triangle, those are void areas. So that tells me.
I mean, think about this. The cops and everybody else, I mean, or whoever trying to say, well, that this is how it happened, that's how it happened, it was probably a holdup, whatever. And he's sitting there telling you, had he not been shot the second time, he would have lived, because it was a superficial kind of thing. It was in and out. I mean, imagine the horror of looking at his father who has just shot him, and he's managing to get away somewhat, but he could not shut the door. And his father pulls out another gun, shoots him at a different angle, and basically, trigger warning, sorry guys, but this is what happened, blows his brain out the top of his head. That is what happened to that poor child. Now, I know he's done a lot of things, he was bad, whatever, but he didn't deserve that, right? He did not deserve that. Just horrible. Wait till you hear what happened to Maggie. These are the things we did not hear about ourselves.
He was not in the door, but just barely past the door, his head. Think about it. Think about throwing liquid around the corner. And that's the way you have to think about this when you see that projected blood, those impact stains. That is body tissue, hair, bone, lipids.
Sorry.
On the top of that door frame. I put those feet there, guys, just to show you. That's approximately where Paul was standing. That's where he dropped. Remember, his brain was ejected from his head. There is no more movement.
Isn't that awful?
You fall like a bag of potatoes. So how could he be out on his knees and get executed if his feet are still in the feed room? Think about, you might trip, stumble. The older I get, the more I do it. Sometimes Friday nights, I do it a lot. But think about it. His feet are still there. No evidence he was moved. That's Miss Maggie, artist rendition. Once again, guys, look in the background. What do you see with the 2 headlights? Look, I love my SLED brothers and sisters. They overlook this. I've never worked a crime scene in my life. I got in the car and went to leave and said, man, I did everything right. They had a lot of stress on them, a lot of people meandering through their scene, a lot of powerful people.
Yeah.
Not the kind you say, get out of my scene. Okay? But I saw it. I said, look at that side by side, that Polaris side by side, right there. Look on the front of it, guys, when I zoomed in on their photographs.
Oh my God.
You see it? Body tissue, blood, body fluids. Very sharp investigator. I'm gonna give him credit because he's my boy. Ozzy works for the AG's office. He said, you think we can prove this is a tire impression on Miss Maggie's leg? I said, well, let's take a good look at it. I looked at it, I said, this is a tire impression, no doubt. No doubt. The defense was gonna say, I'm told, that that was a footwear impression, that the killer stomped Miss Maggie's leg to make sure she was dead before he left.
No, it's worse. It's worse.
Even white people don't wear this kind of shoe back in the 80s, you know? That shoe has long been gone. They were prepared to testify to it, guys. I think this was my best work. This is really the only thing I can take credit for. Right there. That's Miss Maggie's calf. You can see that impression. Dr. Reimer said she didn't see an impression on Miss Maggie's leg. Dr. Reimer did. She documented it. She had it in her photographs. Okay, it was there. I didn't make this up. She just didn't remember. She didn't remember. There are the tires. Look at the tires. What else do you see? See body fluid on the tire? That kind of drew us there to that tire. And those are the specific lugs. That one with that top blue arrow. Right there. That's it. It matches the height. It matches the shape of that bruise on Miss Maggie. But they wiped it off, guys. Remember, Miss Maggie expired real quick. You know, you've got to be alive for the bruise to form. So the blood did not have time to get purple like you and I. What they were looking at was actually dirt off of the tire. Well, I don't know, done 250 of them, guys, but at autopsy, they wash you. They washed the impression off. There it is. I had to reverse it. Kind of like when you're riding down the street and you hear a siren and you look behind you and the ambulance is behind you and you can read ambulance, right? You look at it face to face and it's backwards. You got to reverse one or the other because you can't see through her leg and you certainly can't see through the tire. So I reversed the impression.
And think about that. Remember, he waited, it was a whole hour before he even called 911. So what did he do? Did he jump on that Polaris and run over her and go to the house, clean up and all that, and then get back on the Polaris and go back out there and park it and then call the police? Is that what he did? I mean, these are things we did not know about until this guy's actually showing it to us. I never heard these parts of that trial. It is horrible and sad. I mean, does he not realize what he did? Did he not remember running over his own wife that he just, took her life with a damn Polaris? Come on. What a damn monster he is. I mean, this is like the worst of the worst. He's right up there with Letitia Stouch. That's where I'm at with him. Right up there with her. This is not a very long video, but it is very, it's very detailing. It's telling us exactly what happened here.
I honed in on the tires, and here we go. Here we go. There are actual, unique, random characteristics in that tire that were transferred to Miss Maggie's leg. Guys, this is what it's all about. Worked my whole career. Made, dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of fingerprint identifications, a couple shoe identifications. Never made a tire. Never. Wanted to do it, something terrible. Still couldn't do it. Remember, we didn't have a scale photograph of the tire. So I said, I'm gonna buy a tire. I surfed the internet, got to the end, started over. Found a tire. Only problem is, they made a 9-inch, a 10-inch, and an 11-inch. And I don't know what was on this side by side. So the best I could do is call it, I could not call it to the exclusion of all others. I call this a class identification, which means either that tire did it or another tire just like it. I had it peer reviewed by another competent examiner who has the same level of experience as I do, and he agreed all day long. There's 8 different unique random characteristics that transferred from that tire to Miss Maggie Murdaugh's leg. It wasn't a shoe, guys. It wasn't a shoe. These are the steps. I stood on these steps where Paul, his friend, testified that they test fired that rifle. They took a hot hands and put it down on the trees because remember they had a thermal scope and they honed in on that hot hands. So your shell cases kick out and go where? In the flower beds. What did SLED do when they were there the first day? They looked down and what's in the flower beds? All right, I told you about the shotgun, right? There's some haters out there. There's some people that say, oh, look, you can't lie. You can't fool science. Paul's touch DNA. Well, guess what? These shell casings match the shell casings at the scene. We don't have a projectile. Projectiles were damaged. Y'all, as my grandmama said it, y'all goggle it. You'll figure it out. Shell casings just as good as a fingerprint. Tool marks. Very competent firearms examiner, Mr. Drew, at SLED, soft-spoken guy. He said these were loaded and unloaded from the same rifle. Come on. Beyond a reasonable doubt. Not all doubt, not some doubt. Beyond a reasonable doubt. We know that both weapons were Murdaugh weapons.
Yeah.
There's the t-shirt, guys. There's the
t-shirt. Look at the t-shirt closely. Look at it.
First time I've said this. I'm going to say it right here. CrimeCon 2023. If this isn't blood spatter, somebody got to tell me what it is.
Not hairspray.
I couldn't agree with it. Tell you why. The original expert said that the chemical that was used by SLED to confirm blood and the chemical that's used by the crime scene investigators don't work together. They cause a bad reaction, which causes a negative test. No dog poop. Right? That's the way Kenny thinks. Post-hope digger. That's the way I think. You can't have blood you can't have blood spatter if it tests negative for blood. I don't know where the hiccup there come from, guys, but you can see it. You can see it on that shirt. You get it two ways. You get it from a gunshot wound. We're talking about blood more than 100 feet per second and less than a millimeter. You get it from a gunshot wound or high-speed machinery. Stick your finger in a metal fan and you'll see what I'm talking about. Hairspray, the ladies. I ain't got much, but the ladies, hairspray. When you spray, that's what it looks like. It's really, really fine. Look at the shirt, guys. I told Creighton, I said, look, you the boss. I'm working for you. My advice is put this thing back in the closet. Because I'm not getting on the stand and saying Tide and Clorox don't work together. When 96% of the time, the empirical evidence says it does.
Anyway, I mean, that was kind of interesting because I knew we'd never seen that before and nobody discussed that before. And I was like, good Lord. And when the housekeeper talks about, that it was that she knew that he'd been in the house and did all these things because Miss Maggie would not leave her pajamas there folded up like that. And it's just there's just so much against him that there's no way that somebody else did that. Now, somebody else was with him because remember in the 911 call, you hear him saying here, the housekeeper talks about the water hose because she could hear it running. She knows these things. She's lived there. She's used these things. She knows. So you got to wonder. Cousin Eddie over there, who he says, he says that all that money he paid him was for those 60 pills a day he was taking, right? We've discussed there's no way you're alive if you're taking 60 Oxycontin a day. You can't function like that. No way. Nuh-uh. It didn't happen that way. So it's just like, I don't know. I hope he does not win an appeal. Now, I have got my hands on the appeal answer. It's like 89 pages or whatever, and we can actually take a look at it if anybody's interested in looking at it, because I'm interested in looking at it. But now these are some different things that are going on in this case. But the family history here is what really kind of shocked me about these people. I was like, let me stop sharing this right here. Okay. Oh, there we are. Okay, we'll take that off. When I looked at their whole family history and saw all the things from way back when, I was like, good Lord, as my husband discussed, this is very old money. And so, this, years and years and years of privilege, never having to worry about anything, running the whole town. And I really think that he thought he was going to get away with this. I think that Alec thought he was not going to go to prison, that he was going to be able to cock up some story. And since nobody was there to tell the story but him, that they would just believe it because he's lived like that way his entire life. That's what I think there. Could I be wrong? Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. Now, there's another little thing over here. This is part 2 of, hang on. Now, this is going to be part 2 of the Dr. Phil story. Because Dr. Phil, some people don't like him, some people do, but, and I know he can be an asshole or whatever, but the thing is he is really very good at describing these things. Anyway, hold on. You make this big, and we're going to speed it up a little bit because, you know, they're only about an hour long, but let's see. It's at 1.25, so we're good. All right, here we go. We'll start on this. Whoops, let me share my screen. This is part 2.
It is a powerful legacy built over generations to come crashing down in scandal and tragedy. Join me as we uncover the dark psyche of patriarch Alex Murdaugh, the man who wore a mask of success while hiding a lifetime of deception. And be sure to follow and subscribe to Mystery and Murder, available on all podcast players and YouTube.
Notice the mistake you just made there? It was not a life of success. Number one, Alec really was not as successful as the other attorneys at that law firm. He was always kind of like not the best lawyer, okay? And then, of course, he's over there stealing and trying to keep this money going. I mean, listen, my husband and I kind of talked. I told Sprinkle about this when we first came on. I was like, we kind of talked about this. You got to understand. You got this kid over here that the whole family is having to constantly clean up after. He's over there constantly robbing Peter to pay Paul with this big money problem that he's created for himself, and he just has to keep doing it from all over the place. And then you got Maggie over here just trying to live her life. She didn't want to be there anymore. Maggie's over there trying to live at the lake house or the beach house. She didn't want to live at Moselle. She was living at the beach house. That's where she was happy. So he's got all of these things. And on top of all of this, Buster, the dream child over here, who went to law school, gets kicked out of law school a little bit. This happened, I think, maybe a month before the murders happened. Buster gets kicked out of law school for plagiarism. So his dream child, who's going to law school to come on into the firm just to be just like him, another generation, has now embarrassed him as well. So here we've got this man, well, he's a monster, but we've got this monster over here that's had all of these things happen to him, and it's almost as if he just didn't know what else to do, so he does this. Now, people think that he did this thinking, oh, he would just get sympathy and people would not worry about that money. You know, that doesn't make any sense at all, does it? No, it does not make any sense. I think that he thought he was going to take them out, and he's going to have somebody else take him out. Buster was the surviving child. He was the good one. He would get the insurance money, and that would just be that. But guess what? It didn't work out that way. Here we go. Let's listen to Dr. Phil for a little bit.
In our latest episode, we discussed the beginning of the Murdaugh family's downfall. Now, this family once stood as a powerful dynasty in South Carolina society. But behind the prestige, the foundation was already crumbling. The youngest Murdaugh, Paul, was a troubled young man whose reckless behavior would lead to disaster. In 2019, a drunken boat crash, allegedly with Paul at the helm, ended in heartbreak when 19-year-old Mallory Beach was thrown overboard into the dark water, never to resurface. But the story was about to take a dramatic and grisly turn, even worse than her disappearance into those dark waters, a turn no one ever saw coming. As Paul awaited trial for his alleged crime, the unthinkable happened. One summer night, Paul and his mother Maggie were found shot dead, gunned down at close range on the family's secluded estate. It was a double homicide that would send shockwaves through the Low Country and leave everyone asking who could have done this. Let's revisit that night. It was just after 10 p.m. on June 7th, 2021. A frantic 911 call came in from none other than Alex Murdaugh. His voice seemed filled with panic. He claimed he had just arrived back at his family's hunting estate, known as Moselle, when he stumbled upon a scene straight out of a nightmare. He claimed that upon returning home, he discovered his wife Maggie and his 22-year-old son Paul lying on the ground, unresponsive, brutally shot, and covered in blood. Take a listen to that 911 call.
June 7th, 2021, 22 hours, 7 minutes, 9 seconds.
Okay, you said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison?
Sir?
You said 4147 Moselle Road in Allison? Yes, sir. 4147 Roselle Road.
Stay on the line with me, okay? Yes, sir. Stay on the line with me, okay? I'm still here, okay?
Connor County Communications.
Congressman, I have an Alex Murdaugh on the line calling from 4147 Moselle Road. He's advising that his wife and child was shot.
Okay, and sir, give me the address again.
It's 4147 Moselle Road. I've been up to it now. It's bad.
Okay. How did they shoot? Did they shoot themselves?
Oh, no. Hell no.
Okay, and are they breathing?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and you said it's your wife and your son?
My wife and my son.
Are they in a vehicle?
No, ma'am. They're on the ground out at my kennel.
Okay, and did you see anyone?
He got in the head, and he shot really bad. He got it.
Okay, where is he shot at?
Ma'am, I don't know, but there's blood everywhere. I can see his brain. Face down. I tried to turn her a little bit, but she's got a hole in her head.
Okay, is he breathing at all?
No, nobody.
Is she? Okay, do you see anything? Do you see anyone in the area?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Is there any guns near them at all?
No, there's here.
What color is your house on the outside?
If that's what you're asking,
said here.
Yourself, ma'am.
What color is your house on the outside?
It's white. You can't see it from the road.
Okay, is it a house or a mobile home?
It's a house.
Okay, and what is your name?
My name is Alex Murdaugh.
When's the last time you talked to Maggie?
Hour and a half ago, probably 2 hours ago.
What is your telephone number?
942-1227. I'm going back to my house just to get a gun just in case. I'm about 100 yards from my house.
And does anything look out of place?
Ma'am,
Remember, they never recovered the guns used, which makes me think, okay, did he get on that Polaris, run over her leg, go dump those guns somewhere on that property? Because it's 1,700 acres. And it backs up to water. Is that where those guns could be? They never recovered anything. Did they even look for them? Who knows at this point? We don't know. I've never heard him talk about looking for these guns. So here we go.
Not particularly, really, no, ma'am.
Okay. Well, I know you're upset, Mr. Murdaugh, but I don't want you to get a gun and have a gun out whenever my officers get there, okay?
I will not do that. He's been being threatened by my son.
Here we go.
He's been being threatened for months and months and months. He's been hit several times.
June 7th, 2021, 22 hours, 13 minutes, 58 seconds. Okay. I don't want you to touch them at all, okay? I don't know if you've already touched them, but I don't want you to touch them just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
I've already touched them trying to get to see if they were breathing.
Okay. Well, I just don't want you to move anything just in case they can get any kind of evidence, okay?
Ma'am, I'm going to call, I need to call some of my family.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, do me a favor for me. Whenever you see the officer or the medics, because they're all coming to you, can you put your gun in your vehicle for me?
Absolutely.
Okay. But we have them come in, turn on the flashes on your vehicle so they can see you, okay? You got the flashers on for me?
I do.
Okay. All right. Just whenever you see them, put your gun up.
Hear them dogs barking, 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 barking. But remember, when Paul's, which he didn't realize Paul's phone was recording, those dogs weren't barking at all. And you could hear Alex over there calling Bubba, "Come here, Bubba, come here, Bubba," while Paul talked to this other dog. And then he's claiming he wasn't even there. So let me ask you a question. If he was not there, he was supposedly at his mother's house, and this all happens within a matter of about 30, 45 minutes. He was at his dad's, going to see about one of his sick parents, which is about 30 minutes away or whatever. How could he be in all of these places at the same time? How could he expect any of us to believe any of that? That is typical of your damn narcissist, psychopath, typical. Because, we're all crazy, not him. Just ask him. That's how it goes.
Well, had that video not come about, he might have gotten away with it.
You know what? You're right about that. Except for, guess what was on his hands? Gun residue.
Yeah.
You know, I found that out when I was looking around, digging around. I was like, because I did not know they actually found the powder residue on his hands. I did not know that. So, but that doesn't mean, I guess having gun residue in your hands does not mean that you actually, is it the only way you're going to get it is if you fired the gun? Could it be if
I think so.
Yeah, there's no way it could have been transferred from touching the person that the gun shot. So, yeah. So, okay. We'll just keep listening. There's just so many things about this that the first time you heard it, you didn't pay attention to it. But then after you heard some other things, you go back and you're like, oh shit, I missed that. So, here we go.
For me, okay?
I might speed past this.
I said that it seemed like a panicked 911 call, a panic tone. Now, while Alex certainly sounded frantic, sounded panicked, some would later wonder if his emotional state it was a little melodramatic. Coming up, this is a trial lawyer. He knows how this works. So he understands that if I didn't do this, I need to suggest somebody else who might have. This message is sponsored by Greenlight. Parenting gets easier. Overdone.
Here we go.
He rushed to declare Maggie and Paul dead. Now, notice on the call, Alex never once begged for life-saving instructions or guidance. You could say that this is because Maggie and Paul appeared to be obviously deceased. But still, in most cases, I can tell you from a psychological standpoint, when people come into this kind of a scenario, their immediate response psychologically is to ask for help. Help me, please, send help. When somebody stumbles onto a loved one bleeding and unresponsive, they cling to hope. They're desperately trying anything to turn back the clock, to try anything to save them. They're in denial. At first, it's like, look, this can't be real. Somebody get some help out here. Do something. They want to turn back that clock. But Alec, he went straight to seeming to accept their fate. The people I've spoke to, the people I've helped over the years, when they find themselves in a genuine traumatic moment, they're not thinking in a logical, sequential, narrative sense.
Mm-mm.
The neocortex of the brain, the executive functioning in the frontal part of your brain seems to shut down, and all the emotional parts of the brain seem to take over. As I say, there's denial, there's disbelief. Now, while Alec claimed that he approached the bodies and checked for pulses, there were no sounds of CPR or any desperate attempts to save them. Now, he immediately shared details about guns. Nobody asked him about guns. He just started giving details. Now, why is that important? When people are not telling the truth, when they're trying to lie, they start talking about, let's just say, tangential details. They start answering questions that aren't asked, and they start focusing on safe details, unrelated details that deflect from them. Let's talk about anything but me. Let's not talk about me. Let's not talk about my thoughts, feelings, actions. Let's talk about something else, hopefully something inanimate. And they do this without being prompted. Alec immediately described the scene, mentioning both a shotgun and a semi-automatic rifle. As I've said, these are tactics that liars use, and it's one of the telltale signs that someone is being untruthful by diving into these excessive details, because it buys them time. It takes the focus off of them. Let's talk about the weather. Let's talk about the fence. Let's talk about the guns. Let's talk about anything, because it deflects. Liars think that if they add in a lot of details and specifics, it adds credibility to the story, but most importantly, it deflects from them, when in reality, it can just overcomplicate what should be a really simple answer. He also introduced the idea of outside threats. Now, this is really key to note. Almost immediately, he brought up that Paul had been receiving threats, planting the seed that there was an enemy who wished to cause Paul and the Murdaughs harm. Now, Alex said because of Paul's boat wreck. Understand, he is a trial lawyer, and he understands that the person that finds the victim is always somebody that's going to be looked at. Okay, whether it's right or wrong, if you find somebody, I don't care if you're out jogging and you find somebody dead, they're going to look at you. Sorry, I don't mean to discourage anybody from reporting something, but they're going to look at you. This is a trial lawyer, and he knows how this works. So he immediately understands that if I didn't do this, I need to suggest somebody else who might have. So he introduces that. There's a lot going on in this 911 call is what I'm telling you. He's deflecting, he's talking about guns, and he's introducing an alternative explanation for who might have killed these people. And when the deputies arrived at the Murdaugh's family estate, they weren't prepared for what they were about to see. Near the dog kennels, under the glare of their flashlights, they came face to face with a blood-soaked horror show. I mean, this wasn't an entry-exit wound here. Paul Murdaugh lay shot to death, his head nearly obliterated by a close-range shotgun blast. Now, if you're not somebody that's ever dealt with guns, certainly dealt with shotguns, it's hard to describe the devastation that a close-range shotgun blast can do. Brain matter, blood, tissue were scattered on the ground, and kennel wall just steps away. Maggie Murdaugh's body was riddled with bullets from a powerful rifle. It was a grotesque, chaotic scene that showed the aftermath of a hateful act of violence. And smack dab in the middle of this bloodbath, Alex Murdaugh, pacing, sobbing, or so it seemed. First responders described him as hysterical, but a significant detail gnawed at them. Despite all the wailing and gasping, they observed that they never actually saw him shed one single tear. His eyes were dry. And there was something else. Alec claimed he had approached the bodies of his wife and son, desperately checking them for signs of life, yet his clothes told a different story. They were remarkably clean. No blood smears, no transfer stains, no visible signs he had cradled his fallen family members or tried to administer any sort of aid. Now, let's think that through for a minute. You go up and see your son and your wife down. They're down on the ground. There's blood everywhere. Ask yourself, I don't want to traumatize you, but ask yourself, if you walked up on your spouse or child down on the ground and there's blood everywhere, what would be the first thing that you would instinctively do? Would you stand there and look down? Would you put two fingers on a carotid? Or would you fall to your knees and wrap them up in your arms to hold them, touch them, cradle them? As investigators began combing through the scene, a chilling layer of unease set in. Something about Alex's behavior, the controlled chaos, the missing tears, the suspiciously spotless clothes, just didn't add up. And they were just beginning to realize how deep the cracks in his story would run. It didn't take long for suspicion to turn toward Alec. Just hours after the murders, he sat down for his first interview at the sheriff's office. He realized these are people that know him, but they're having a hard time reconciling what some just basic human nature cues are not setting right with them. Now, in this interview, he stuck to his alibi. He claimed he left Moselle around 9 p.m. to visit his mother, who had Alzheimer's, and he returned to find Maggie and Paul, as he has described, dead. He denied being at the kennels. He clearly stated he hadn't gone down to the dog kennels on the property that evening. Very clearly.
Liar.
He appeared emotional, but controlled. He cried at times, and I say cried in that he seemed to kind of convulse, but again, no tears. His emotions seemed inconsistent with the gravity of the situation. Now, later, cell phone analysis revealed a chilling detail. Not long after discovering the bodies, he apparently used his cell phone to search for a local restaurant delivery menu. You heard me right. He used his cell phone to search for some food, a delivery menu. Now, look, this is the only way we can really get some kind of yardstick of how to measure this kind of thing. You've just seen your son with his head obliterated by a shotgun blast. You've seen your wife riddled with bullets. They're dead. And you're hungry? Really? Not exactly the picture of a husband and father racked with pain, emotionally devastated. This means that while the blood was still fresh, he was browsing dinner options. Let's check the appetizers. Let's see what they've got for entrees tonight. He seemed to place minimal focus on finding the killer. Again, as I said, he's an attorney. He's been involved in the system there for a long time. He understands that with every tick of the clock, it becomes less and less likely you're going to find who did this. If they shot and killed his son and his wife and they're on the run, at 70 miles an hour, they're 70, 140, 210, 280. They're getting away. Alex seemed to focus more on recounting his own actions and family background than on urging investigators to find the real killer. Now, let's go back to the 911 call. He said that his son had been receiving threats, so he made it a point to note that right after he allegedly found...
Imagine that. Imagine that. You know, and it sounds just like somebody else, too. It sounds just like Letitia Stouch. What is that noise? It sounds just like Letitia Stouch and her shit. Remember? She immediately started talking about all these different things. All right. I'm gonna let this keep playing for a minute, but okay, so I'm hearing that noise again. Okay, here we go.
The bodies. He wants to get that on the radar. Let me get this out there for you. But now you're telling me that a grieving father whose wife and son were brutally murdered isn't going to be saying, who's doing this? He said it was associated with the boat accident. This young woman tragically lost her life. If somebody associated with that has been making threats against his son, there would be a core group of people that you would want to look at to begin with. The family of this young woman would be a starter, right?
Amen.
She had a boyfriend. There were those who loved and cared about her. It wouldn't necessarily just be strangers. You would have a place to start. Who would have a vested interest in striking out against Paul? Wouldn't he be saying, look, it's associated with this boating situation. We need to find out where those people were tonight. Where was her father? If she had a brother, if she had a boyfriend, if she had family members, where are they? We need to be talking to them. They could have done this. He stuck to repetitive, seemingly scripted details. He kept emphasizing that he checked for pulses, that he had tried to turn Paul over and saw his cell phone fall out, and that he rushed to get a shotgun from the house for his protection, lest the killer still be lurking nearby. Now, again, there's an inconsistency here as well. If he truly believes what he's saying to them, that there's somebody that was after Paul associated with a boating accident, what does it have to do with him? Why would he think that he was being targeted? If it was Paul, then mission accomplished. Paul has been eliminated. His wife, who was there, would have been eliminated by necessity. Why would he think they would come back looking for him? His theory is they're after Paul, but he goes to get a shotgun to protect himself. That's not consistent with his overall theory. Now, the same words over and over, almost as though he had practiced them in his mind long before the questions ever came. And whenever someone is giving you something in...
Who else does that sound like? They told the exact same story. The Lily and Jack case. They told the exact same story over and over. Because, they had all this time to rehearse it. And he's over there doing the same thing, just repeating this story that he thought up, before he ever even did this. You got to wonder, how long did he plan this, right? I thought that, but then I thought, no, I don't think he really planned it a long time. I think this all happened within a matter of days of him just becoming so, didn't know what to do. All of it was fixing to explode. And if you remember, the housekeeper had made statements about that she thinks that Maggie didn't know exactly what was going on, but she was kind of getting a feeling that something was up, something wasn't exactly right, you know. And the whole family is looking at, when all this starts coming out, the whole family's looking at Alex like, oh my God, look what you've done to the family name. You're a total disgrace. Look what you've done to us. You know, we are nothing now. Look what you've done, right? Or everybody, I think they even changed the name of the law firm now. I mean, a lot of things have taken place since this happened. Even Buster got married and moved off. But there's also a very, very interesting a video of Buster in an interview, and he's giving a lot of detail and information, again, that we never really paid attention to before. But once you hear him talk about this, you're going, oh, okay, now it's starting to make a little more sense. But see, Buster didn't really believe his father actually did this until he was shown so many things that there was nobody else who could have done it, period. And we've been on here for almost 2 hours. You know, I don't like to go past that because, you know, our StreamYard thing makes the little shorts for us. Oh, God, that noise. I'm going to take off this. Hang on. Whoops. Let's get rid of this. Uh-oh. Okay, here we are. Let me see if it stops all that now. Okay, here we go. Get rid of that. Okay. Anyway, we'll just come back and do the next part. We'll do... Oh, that noise. We'll do some more tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know why are we hearing that noise now? That's so strange. Let's turn this around the other way. Okay. Anyway, because remember, it started out good. I'm like, oh shit, now I'm hearing it. What the hell? What's going on? Okay. Well, we'll just come back to this later on today. I can't stand it. That noise has to stop. I don't really know what else to do. We're wearing headphones. We're doing... I don't know. Anyway, so we're going to say goodnight for night. Hang on a second. Hang on. So we're going to say goodnight. And, okay, I can't stand that noise. I can hear... I don't know what y'all are hearing, but I can hear it coming back through my earbud. But anyway, so we're going to say goodnight. We're going to come back later on today in a few hours. I got to get some sleep. You think you can do anything around 2 o'clock my time, Sprinkle? I think
yeah,
that's
fine. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. That's about 11 or 12 your time, I think. 11 your time.
Yeah, it'd be 12 my time.
Oh, 12 your time. Okay, so 12 your time. And, yeah. Yes, AM. We're going to do PM. It's going to be 2 o'clock PM my time and 12 o'clock PM her time, because she's in California. So we'll come back about 2 o'clock, and I want to play these other videos where we hear Buster talking about these things that we didn't know existed. And I want to show y'all the information that I found about the plantation and the slaves and the whole backstory on the Murdaughs of when they started becoming wealthy, when they started out being rich. These people have never been poor. Anyway, we'll see y'all at 2 o'clock this afternoon. You all have a wonderful day or morning. Thank you for coming in. We always appreciate seeing you. What do I always say? Go ahead and say it, Sprinkle.
Hug your babies.
That's damn right. Hug your babies, because that time I saw my baby today. And anyway, finals are this week. He's got straight A's. And anyway, I'm so proud of him. I'll talk to y'all later. Have a good evening.
Have a good night, everybody. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Why is that?